Mountain to Coast wanted to send me their R1 road shoes, and I knew I wouldn't like them, and I immediately judged the book by its cover. So we're gonna dive into why the Mountain to Coast R1 road shoe surprised the heck out of me and did one amazing thing. It made me want to do more road running.
1, 2, 3, 4. I was born to run Easy, light, smooth, fast.
So it's still October, and the start of this run, it was -2 degrees. And usually this time of year is when I start to do more road running. All summer long, I'm in the trails, I'm in the mountains of Jackson Hole, really taking advantage of spectacular mountain running here in Jackson. So my summer road running really consists of shorter recovery runs that complement all the mountain running and trail running that I'm doing. So getting the Mountain to Coast R1 road shoe at the start of summer really didn't inspire me that much. And like I mentioned, then I started to look at the specs and started to judge the book by its cover, and that's where I really went wrong. Yeah, 8 mil drop, ooh yikes, I don't like to go over 6 mil. 27 millimeter stack height in the forefoot, a little bit more than I like. And then I had to commit myself to maybe doing a little bit more longer runs on road than I typically want to in the summer. And that's where everything started to change. I wanted to go out for a road run because of the experience I was having in the R1. That 8 mil drop, if I had to guess, really felt more like a 4 mil drop. And with the recipe of the Midsole foam, really allowed my foot to do its work, to really stabilize. And that's where my cringe factor comes in when I go up in stack height. And this wasn't the case. I was able to use my feet for stability. I was able to engage my feet and let them do the work. And therefore, I really found myself wanting to pull the R1 out and go for longer runs during the summer, which was a strange phenomenon for me. So therefore, I was more motivated to put this shoe through a ringer. I started commuting with it. I would run to the grocery store with it, with a heavy pack. I started doing workouts in it, hill repeats, took it to the track. And this is where I really found that this could be a one-trick pony. This R1 made me feel right at home on easy long runs, easy moderate runs, tempo runs at the track. It really allowed me to enjoy good performance on all types of running, all types of workouts. And did I mention it's light? I even used it on the treadmill during last early spring training for Broken Arrow. For me, these fit true to size. I have a very narrow foot, so they're a little voluminous through the midfoot and in the toe box. For most people, that's going to be a really good thing, but this is where also their dual lacing system came in for me, is that quite often, because of my narrow foot, I have to cinch down the entire lacing system from bottom to top. And this sometimes gives me trouble because of my narrow feet. And now with the dual lacing system, I have the ability to tighten areas down in my forefoot to really lock things down because of that narrowness in my foot, but then not secure it as much up above and giving me a little bit more comfort up above without that lace bite. So it just adds to the flexibility with my narrow feet. Now, I don't do a ton of shoe videos, but when I do, it's usually because a shoe presents a certain feeling that either in this case is unexpected or just is really kind of different. And this shoe originally was positioned as a really long ultra distance shoe. can go through a lot of videos out there on the durability of the shoe. So I'm not going to talk on that. The stories are out there on this durability. I've got almost 200 miles on this shoe and no wear whatsoever on the outsole. But again, getting back to that feeling, and there's probably no other way I can describe it other than it's late October. It was -2 degrees out. 3 weeks ago, I was running in shorts, and we've made that transition and gotten enough snow that now the trails are just not runnable. My glasses are fogging up. And so I really at this time have to make that mental transition to colder running and a lot of road running. And oftentimes this takes a while to get psyched about. But I was really excited. Now I can spend even more time in the R1 and really experience this shoe during the shoulder season here in Jackson Hole. And another way I analyze shoes is, does it really allow me natural run form? Specifically allow me, like I mentioned earlier, to strike the ground in a natural way. And I never feel like I'm struggling or fighting against an unnatural foot strike in these shoes. Again, you know, I think that's where the beauty of this midsole really shines, is that it's forgiving enough that your foot really compresses to engage the entire foot, but at the same time it's resilient enough and stable enough that you again are allowed to use your foot for that natural stabilization. And I think this is where the new chemistry of the new foam these days is really allowing a little bit more comfortable ride, maybe allowing for a little bit more stack height, but not sacrificing ground feel and the ability to use your feet for our natural stabilizer. So as I mentioned, all winter long is when I do the most amount of flat road running. One risk that ultra trail runners risk when doing so many vertical miles during the season is they miss out on that steady aerobic efficiency because of the nature of the mountains trails, where there's a lot of variation in effort. And there again, therefore I find myself I lose a little bit of that aerobic efficiency. So going into the winter, late fall, is when I need to reapply that aerobic foundation that's so principal and crucial for any type of runner. So where I'm going with this is that I could see this shoe positioning very well for that ultra trail runner, or that trail runner who is similar to me, where a lot of what they do is on trails, but they might be losing out, and maybe they abandon that longer, flatter winter type of run. And this shoe, I think, is just sublime for that. And it allows, with the flexibility of the shoe, to be your tempo shoe, and you be that one-hit wonder for all your types of back to that foundational over the winter type of training that we do. And it really does everything really well, allowing you to just to have that one-hit wonder for your road shoe. So I just want to thank Mount the Coast for sending me this shoe, even though there was a risk that I might not like the specs and what's underneath the hood. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to continue to enjoy it. I'm really looking forward to all these winter miles. But maybe to express how much I enjoyed it, I now went out and bought the new Mount the Coast H1 hybrid shoe. And I'm excited to get that and see if I get the same experience on a little bit more of a hybrid shoe that might be even more suited to my winter mileage. So stay tuned. All right, team, I'm gonna leave you with this reminder. Remember, it's never ever about the shoe. Health, performance, and longevity in running is all about your foot strength and your form. So don't abandon that. Keep working on that. So I'm gonna sign off here. Welcome to cold weather Jackson Hole, Born to Run World. See you guys.